Do you remember the scene in Ye Jawani Hai Deewani? Bunny, Naina, the magical trek in Manali. That was the dream, right? You, your friends, escaping the city heat, breathing in crisp mountain air, falling in love under the stars. But now that dream comes with a twist. In 2024 and in 2025, Manali has felt more like Delhi or Gurugram in summers. Fans weren't enough, tourists were asking for air conditioners, hotels were scrambling. And it wasn't just Manali. Other Himachal hill stations like Shimla, Kangra, Nahan, all recorded unusual spikes in temperature, with daytime temperatures hovering between 40 to 45 degrees Celsius for most of the summer, turning once refreshing getaways into open-air ovens. For decades, these hill towns were the answer to summer, postcard escapes from the chaos of the plains. But now, these very respites can no longer be trusted to stay cool. They are heating up fast. From Mussoorie to Munsiyari, from Darjeeling to the Nilgiris, India's hill stations are no longer immune to the heat. In fact, some of them are warming faster than the global average. So, what's going on here? I'm your host Lavanya, and in this episode of the Climate Brief, we are asking a simple question. Why are our mountains burning? For decades, the hill towns of Himachal and Uttarakhand were North India's summer escape plan. You'd pack your bags in May, leave the frying pans of Delhi and Lucknow behind, and head for cooler air. But in the last few years, that escape has started to melt. The hills just aren't that cool anymore. In 2024, two of Himachal's most popular spots, Nahan and Kangra, recorded their second highest temperatures ever. Nahan hit 39.9 degrees Celsius. Kangra, 41.8 degrees Celsius. And it didn't end in 2024. This year, in 2025, the heat has followed a similar pattern. And it's no longer just Himachal. According to Vishal Singh, the director of the Center for Ecology Development and Research, who's tracked Himalayan temperatures for decades, even Mussoorie, Munsiyari and Nainital were unusually hot this year. These are towns built for snowfall, not sweat. But here's what really hits hard. Darjeeling, one of the most iconic hill towns of the East, has warmed by 0.4 degrees Celsius every decade since the 1970s. Srinagar, Shimla, Kodaikanal, all have followed in the same steps. And yet most of us don't realize what that means. According to the India Meteorological Department, in the hills, a heat wave is declared when temperatures cross 30 degrees Celsius and rise at least 4.5 degrees Celsius above normal. In 2024, between April 1st and June 20th, Himachal Pradesh experienced 28 heat wave days, the highest ever on record for the 3-month period. And like everything else, other hill stations have followed this heat trend as well. So the illusion is broken. Summer in the hills, they're not what they used to be. But why? Let's start with the big picture. According to the IPCC, the Himalayas are warming at twice the global average. Winters are getting shorter, summers are stretching longer, and rainfall wildly unpredictable. But long-term climate change on a global scale didn't act alone. On the ground, another force made everything worse. Us. We have changed the hills. Literally, in the last 2 decades, our hill stations have become construction sites. More hotels, more homestays, wider roads, parking lots, malls, and what not. Take Kodaikanal, for example. In Kodaikanal, a peer-reviewed study showed that the town's built-up area expanded from 3% to 21% between 1969 and 2008. During that same time, forest cover dropped from 70% to 33%. And this has coincided with an increase in temperature. Forests regulate temperature. They hold moisture, they absorb heat. When you replace them with concrete, you don't just lose shade, you trap heat. This is called the urban heat island effect. And in places like Shimla, Dehradun, Nainital, it's turning old hill stations into mini furnaces. We've covered the urban heat island effect in detail in one of our episodes. Do check it out. And there's another pressure point. Tourism. Our favorite summer destinations are now overloaded. Every summer, millions rush to the hills, and every year the crowd gets bigger. Himachal tourist hotspots have been grappling with overcrowding. In Mussoorie, the story is just as alarming. As per reports, more than 21 lakh tourists visited the town in 2024, nearly double the 11 lakh who came in 2022. And with the crowds came chaos. More tourists meant more cars, more honking, more traffic jams, and that meant hours of idling engines clogging the narrow hill roads. The result? Not just frustration, but heat-trapping emissions that make these towns feel more like pressure cookers than getaways. And when the crowds leave, they leave something behind. Trash. Manali's waste plant, built to handle just 20 to 30 tons a day, is now choking on 70 to 100 tons daily, over triple its capacity. In Uttarakhand, the Valley of Flowers trek alone generates 29 metric tons in just 4 months, with nearly 96% of it being non-biodegradable plastic. Across the Indian Himalayas, tourism leaves behind over 8 million tons of solid waste every year. Much of it stranded in places where there is no formal waste management system. The more we escape to the hills to find peace, the more we break what we came looking for. And the mountains, they are taking the hit. And by the way, if you've made it this far, you probably care about stories like this. But here's something wild. 96.5% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you find this important, hit that button. It helps more people discover stories that usually get left out of the frame. It's tempting to think heat only affects tourists, but tourists can leave whenever they want. The worst impact is felt by the people who live here, the ones who can't leave when it gets too hot. Take Kangra, for example. In June 2024, doctors there were told to stock up on IV fluids and prepare for a rise in heat stroke cases. Schools hadn't been spared either. In late May of 2024, the Kangra district collector ordered all schools and Anganwadis to shut down temporarily, citing rising heat and student safety. It wasn't just humans. Livestock suffered too. Farmers were advised to splash water on animals 2 to 3 times a day, just to keep them alive. And while the sun baked the hills, another threat ignited: forest fires. 2024, the hottest year on record, also saw a record number of forest fires. In Shimla alone, over 3,300 hectares burned. In Mandi, over 3,200. Less moisture, drier soil, and extreme temperatures turned these forests into tinder boxes. The climate is changing. But in the hills, the change isn't just ruining vacations. It's burning farms, closing schools, straining hospitals. If we keep going like this, our hill stations will stop being hill stations. They'll be hot, crowded towns, no different from the ones that we are trying to escape. But there's still a way out. And it starts with preserving what's left and building differently. We need to balance development with ecology, not bulldoze through it. That means stricter limits on new construction, reining in deforestation, and treating water as precious, not disposable, and managing our waste. Tourism must shift too. Less is more. Local governments need real carrying capacity plans, clear limits on how many people, how much traffic, how much pressure these fragile landscapes can handle. We can choose better. Avoid overcrowded hotspots, respect carrying capacities, choose homestays that use solar power or rainwater harvesting. Don't litter, bring your waste back. Don't idle your car with the AC on. Because if we keep treating the hills like a dumping ground or an escape room, we will lose what made them magical in the first place. So the next time you plan your trip up there, remember this: the hills gave us everything. It's time we gave something back. If you found this story important, share it with someone planning a hill station holiday. Subscribe so you don't miss the stories that matter. I am Lavanya, and this was the Climate Brief.